All right, in this video, I want you to think about the idea that when you consider everything, eugenics, oppression, institutional racism, sex trafficking, drugging the food, all the things, pedophilia, all the horrible stuff that happens in society, coerced sex, right? People raping people in bars and so on, roofies, Mickeys, psychiatry, psychiatric oppression, the political abuse of every government institution and law enforcement group. You are a fanatical conformist, an extremist, a dangerous, toxic conformist and extremist. If you don't put morality or God, preferably both, above everything, family, love, children, everything, you are a fanatical conformist. These are just your despicable reasons, to varying degrees, mind you, as to why you conform. See, I'm so important, my kids matter more than morality. Knowing that eventually my kids are going to keep breeding in the spirit of immorality and being more and more sex slaves and doing helping these people do these horrible things more and more every generation, until someone puts their foot down, right? But you're breeding away from courage. You're breeding toward conformity. So every generation you're making it genetically harder for the offspring, for the descendant to do the right thing. So you're a sick, toxic, fanatical, dangerous, criminal conformist. Crimes against humanity and civil rights. A fanatical, extreme conformist. A terrorist conformist. A criminal state. A crony, criminal, capitalist conformist. Putting yourself above everything fanatically. If you aren't willing to sacrifice everything for morality, including your entire family and yourself, of course. Think about this. They can't begin to prove me wrong because, trust me, I've been talking about this for 20 years, making videos on YouTube since 2009. Next year, it'll be 10 years. Yes, I'm right. I go on and say, I have a college degree. Both my parents are doctors. I have 10,000 valid sources. By the time you factor in everything else, the combination of reasons why you should believe me. My top martial artist challenge, which shows honing the senses. You listen to the facts. How could they ignore this thing? You say, you're turning around. How am I turning around? I'll debate you point by point. They've been hiding for 10 years on YouTube from debate. Every discourse I have, every interaction, I crush them. I have interviews with like 20-something people on my James Jackson channel. It's stupid not to see that I'm right. And even in popular culture, we talk movies, right? You people are brainwashed by soap operas and movies. That's where you get your social norms, right? That's where you get them. And what does Han Solo say about Luke Skywalker? Skywalker, remember, Haru, Horus Arts, my ancestors. Haru, Nekin, the Neckonite, the patron of Nekin. Horus the Elder. The archetype of Pharaoh, the pyramid on the dollar bill. What does he say? He says that Luke has delusions of grandeur for thinking he's a Jedi Knight. Here I am, the son of two doctors. $4,000 4-year martial arts challenge, complete every challenger beat. Most of them flawlessly. Okay? And mental health would probably jump on the first opportunity they have, leaning left, leaning right, regardless what kind of conformist bitch they would present, would say he has delusions of grandeur. We don't really see this argument repeated anymore because I thoroughly put it away. Just like the idols in destroy them or put them away. I put them away. Spirit, I put them away. So, and that happened, and of course Jesus and Yoda, right? Jesus can be compared to a martial artist for the same reason Yoda in the first 3 episodes that were released, right? Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, and A New Hope. A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, in that order. Yoda does not fight anybody, from what I remember. He simply teaches, he speaks, and dies. But he is the master martial artist in the Star Wars series. Mind you, he's not crying about height. He's too tall. I'm just going to do this. Eventually, earlier, when they released episode 1 through 3 or whatever it was, he fights Palpatine himself, outmaneuvering his security and fighting with him. He's not like, he's taller than me. It's not fair. That's a bitch move. It's a bitch move. All right. So no servant can be greater. See, what time is it? Is it about 5 minutes? Or Yeah. I'm going to put that in my minutes. Hold on a second. I'm going to give you the scripture, put it on the screen. No servant can be greater, right? Who are the masters in martial arts? Where they come from? Regardless how you slice it, everything is reacting to masculinity. Feminists who act like men. The female women, the man-woman paradigm. You see it expressed in all political cultures. Even when they try to blur the line. How are they trying to blur the line? Making men more feminine, right? And women more masculine, okay? To try to make them more equal looking. Blur their line. Make their faces the same, put on makeup, do surgeries, plastic surgeries, and so on and so forth, right? Do things to their butt and their figure, right? Figure it out. It's harder to figure out when they're using science to make it so you can't tell by the figure and their features. Okay? Where does masculinity start? Obviously it starts in Africa. There's no avoiding that. Martial arts and masculinity start in Africa. The Africans are the masters. For them not to have fair representation in the martial arts world is disgraceful. Is it because of a lack of trying? No, you see how they've done me. No respect. I don't want to hear any martial arts talk about honor. If you don't have the heart to publicly declare that I'm the top martial artist, you shouldn't be doing martial arts. If you don't have the heart to admit it comes from Africa, you shouldn't be doing martial arts. For whose benefit? The devil's? What are you, a pedophile's bitch? Or are you a martial artist with honor? It's a no-brainer. Rule number 1, the first thing you learn as a martial artist, you give respect where it's due, or you shut up and go play with the bitches. Go fucking learn chess or something. Go be a bitch. Fuck's wrong with you? So a great martial artist, okay? A great martial artist will never say anything other than what I'm saying. It's not a matter of, oh, can I get a great martial artist to agree with me? You can't. If he agrees with you, he's not a great martial artist. He's a bitch. You can't do it. Either you've broken that man by getting everyone to pressure him, or he doesn't agree with you. The Pure Light Temple is the top of the pyramid, period. It's established. It's done. There's no going back in history and undoing. And if you lie to everybody forever and brainwash them forever, there's no going back and undoing it. Haru the Elder is the archetype of Pharaoh. When you take away from that, you are less than Pharaoh. You cannot be Pharaoh without being like Narmer, period. He is the Pharaoh. He defined Pharaoh. And you certainly can't be the people he defeated and start claiming that your bloodline is the Pharaoh. No one is more disgraced than you. No one is more of a cowardly, sniveling, jealous, whiny little tunnel rat bitch than you are. Nobody. We talk about The Last Dawn, the Master P movie. Remember the Chi-Rho, it's a P superimposed on the X. The Last Dawn, Dawn, the rise of the sun. Osiris, right? The Chi-Rho, the X. Okay? Osiris is the dead. So the dead was called so-and-so X, right? Of course, incidentally, so-and-so, right? Father and mother, they sowed in what spirit? They sowed in what spirit? They came together. They so-and-so created the so-and-so, right? Okay, so-and-so X. James X, the deceased would be called X. And that goes back to the X as the Chi-Rho. The Chi-Rho with the X is written as the X, but Constantine put the X with the P superimposed on it. That gives you, Master P. So where do we, the nurse being sexy, right? It came out that their scrubs had a certain amount of diseases on it, even when they wash it, right? Just being in the hospital every day, you increase the risk. Should we shun them? Because they're doing a noble job. Well, if they do their job and don't listen to the New World Order and don't poison anybody and don't sabotage anybody, then they're doing a noble job, right? They're helping people live. They're helping people recover. Should we shun them? Should we shun people who get diseases for doing the right thing? Or should we shun the people who set the stage for those people to get the disease so they can make that argument? Will you stand with God in the spirit of righteousness and pay the price? Or are you going to act like a conformist bitch and breed away from heart and breed toward complicity with pedophiles, human traffickers, crony capitalists, kleptocrats, plutocrats, comprador elite, neo-colonialist brats, whiny little, I want a Barbie bitches. Come on, this is not brain surgery. It's not being the top martial artist. It's not having the heart when no one else does. I expect even the most cowardly of you to rise in the spirit of God and be ready to sacrifice everything, because the other option is insane. It is extreme fanatical cowardice, greed, lust, and fear. What are you afraid of? A bunch of whiny pussies? In the least, you could take your own life. I'm not saying you should. I'm not necessarily advocating for people to do, where are the liberal bitches? Get them the fuck out of here. But if you're that much of a coward, that's the least you can do. And if you aren't, rise in the Spirit of God and say, yes, I'm putting righteousness. Yes, I'm putting my potential future descendants over my children. I'm putting every generation after my children that is not born yet and may never be born if you punish me for what I'm doing, which is the right thing, over my children. Because not only am I selfish compared to everyone else, putting my family over everyone else, I'm putting my immediate family over the future descendants. You call that science? You call that sacred math? You call that logic, reason, sense? It's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. All right. Speaking of the, so again, I ask you, if you don't put morality or God as a symbol of pure truth and morality above everything else, not doctor statistics, not controlled opposition propaganda, but pure truth over everything else, you are fanatically a conformist, an extreme conformist that is an evil, stupid, self-sabotaging, own bloodline sabotaging, own bloodline victimizing, mad conformist. So let's talk about the T, right? The bat. The T is the female suffix. Set, right, has a T. These are bitches. These are elf family set bitches. Whatever. Hey, elf. He's talking about elves. So, you know, those people who act like vampires, if I say they're acting like vampires and I refer to them vampires, I'm fucking crazy. The werewolf group in Nazi Germany, they couldn't exist because werewolves are part of popular culture. There's documentation over elves. I've gone over it. I'm sick of fucking trying to explain that. The fact that I even have to explain that, knowing people who act like bitches, disgusts me. Disgusts me. If somebody says, he talking to elves, I lost him, slap the shit out of him. I'm not saying you necessarily should. But that's how I'm feeling right now. Sekhmet, right? With a T. Bast, right? With a T. Bess. The best has bass in their voice, right? The male leopard, right, has bass, right? They're referring to that manhood. You don't necessarily become more manly by speaking deeper, but this is an attribute of men. So one of the variations of the wordplay is bass without the T. The T is the female suffix, and it doesn't necessarily line up one-to-one in every explanation. Every wordplay doesn't mean that, you know, the T is a female, like diet, right? It doesn't mean that diet automatically refers to a female's diet. It could be a man's diet, if you get my drift. But in these cases, it does seem to line up, right? Heru. What would happen if I added a heru? He rat, right? E-rat. The H is the fence. Okay? Shu becomes shut, right? They shut out the sun from the atmosphere, and they're sowing in this kind of moon temple bitch shit, this darkness, this stupidity. It also becomes sat, sought, shit, right? That bitch shit, that bullshit, that crock of shit, apis shit, bullshit, and sit. Of course, the Weejat is a female expression, right? Nefertiti, and so on, your titties, right? Versus your pecs. You know, so there's certain words that it does make sense to line it up this way. Of course, we get the gilding, right? The craft, the guild. The guild, the gilding. What is a gilding? When you neuter the horse, martial arts, right? Mars for horse. We get the tally-ho, right? You know, the female bitch shit, right? Tally the hoe shit. Okay, so we've gone over this time and time again. I went over this magazine where, you know, these guys have this kind of gender-neutral sick face. Right, these are the gender-neutral extremists that make their moves to make sure they make examples out of people. You know, Kennedy, Martin Luther King, people that killed famous people. You know, so yeah, this is how it is. And I think that all of you know that I'm the real deal. I'm not some bitches, you know, I'm a real man. They've emasculated. They try to conform, you know, trying to make me conform and made me look like a less masculine than I used to look. And I have to really reach, you know, inside to express myself in my true masculine form because of the drugs and stuff that they're giving me. Well, I'm out of time.